Hello, this is Ron Brown. I have something I want to share with everybody. It's scanning technique that I've been working on. And first of all, here's my standard risk disclaimer. Any stock index or ETF mentioned in this presentation is not a recommendation to buy or sell. All trading strategies are used at your own risk. If you like what you see in any of these videos, and if you're not an HGSi or an Insider Club subscriber, just go to this link right here and you can get a 30-day free trial of both. Or if you don't want to copy this entire link down, just go to www.highgrowthstock.com and you'll see a link to the trial. Okay, let's get right into it. What I'm attempting to do here, and I think it's going to work out pretty well, is that I'm looking for pivots. Now, I've had pivot scans in HGSi for a while, but I'm experimenting, as always, trying to find something that's easy to use and works. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm going into the Woodward and Brown user smart groups. I'm under consistent earnings growth, HGSi box stocks, and I'm clicking on the first folder. These are stocks with consistent earnings growth. Why mess with stocks that have no earnings growth in this environment especially? And then I'm going down here under my top-down process scans. I'm going to folder number 12, bullish pivot setups. I'm using days high is less than yesterday's. That is the filter, and I'll show you the filter. It's really simple. Days high is less than 1 day ago, but days high is less than or equal to 4 days ago. So I'm looking for a window between 4 days and 1 day, and I want the percent range of the close to be at least 50%. Very simple filter, and let's see how this works out. So I'm in my, let me make this an arrow in red, I'm in my consistent earnings growth folder, which is updated daily when you run your update, and I'm looking for stocks that have consistent earnings growth, and I'll just look here, range resources, look at the revenue growth. Now, revenue growth is a little sloppy, but I'm interested in earnings growth, and look at the earnings growth on this stock. And you'll find that stocks in this group have good, strong earnings growth. Let's take a look at another one right here. Look at the earnings growth here. And what I'm doing is I'm eliminating a lot of tech stocks which have no earnings growth and so on, and only concentrating on box stocks, what we call box stocks. Now on my screen here, I have a weekly chart and this daily chart, which if you're an HGSi user, you're going to find down here on the contextual stocks, and it's number 6. And see, nothing happens here when I just go to this chart, but if I use a scan and click on this, then it's going to populate with not only the price, but these green bars, and these green bars represent what the filter represents. So I'm looking for pivots. Now, these are unconfirmed pivots. So what it finds are stocks that are showing a pivot. You can see, even though this is extended here, it is lower than the prior day's high. So the day's high is lower than 1 day ago. It meets the qualifications or the requirements of the filter, but it's really not a good little pivot setup because it's extended a little bit. If you look up here at the warehouse, here's the day's high is high. You can see these are all zeros. So these stocks are all slightly lower than the previous day's high. Now where it works, and remember, each one of these green bars represents where the filter requirements were true. You can see lots of areas, for example, right here and right here. Now this one, let me bring this up so we can see it better. All of these down here, this was being generated because today's high is lower than the prior day's high, but these were not confirmed. Here's one right here where it was finally confirmed on this day. In addition, there was a VPA flag and it moved up. Now this one here went from expansion to a 1 day contraction, but it's a low pivot, and you can see that it was confirmed the following day and moved up. Now these pulled back. They were not confirmed until the high, actually until this high from the prior day is taken out, which would have been right here, and it moved up. There are several instances here where these pivots are generated on this chart where they were not confirmed. Now right here it was confirmed, but it failed. This is why we always use stops when we take a position, because all trades are random once you're in them. Now here's a couple pivots, but no confirmation. To get a confirmation, you need to have the following day take out the prior day's high. So theoretically, on these pivots right here, this would have been confirmation. That did not work out, but it really didn't go down all that far. Here's one right here. This was confirmed because it was higher than this here. It's kind of hard to see. Well, I've got it at this magnification, but you'll get the idea. Here is a pivot, and there's a confirmed pivot because this high from the prior day was taken out, and there was a nice move there. This one is not confirmed because this high was not taken out, and so on. Down here, this confirmation for this pivot really would have occurred on this day to take out the prior day's high, and it moved up nicely. Here's another pivot opportunity. What you're looking for, or what we're looking for, when a stock starts to move, we're looking for a series of higher high pivots. So any trade taken here, here's a higher pivot, here's a higher pivot, here's a higher pivot, and so on. Now here it pulled back, confirmed to the upside again, but you can see when you start looking at these pivots based upon this very simple filter, there are all kinds of opportunities. It just gives us a different way to look at things. Let's I haven't gone over these. Let's look at LRN. I've been considering buying this one, but I'm not crazy about the weekly chart bouncing around like this. But here we go. Here's a flag is forming. This is a pivot here based upon this filter because the close or the high is lower than the previous day's high. It was here too. This was a confirmed pivot at this point. This is a confirmed pivot at this point, and then it pulled back, and so on and so forth. So anyway, this is something new in my add-on file. I'll be working with it, and I wanted to share this with you, and maybe you can study this and come up with some trades for this week.